Hi, welcome back to Learn Payload with Colin. In our last video, we added the agents collection and then assigned an agent to the properties as a related field. And then we were able to render that agent information out on our new property detail page. And that's where we left off. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to actually finish off that agent detail card that sits on the property detail page. It's a contact form, and right now it does nothing. But we're gonna get it all working. We're gonna create our own. We're gonna create a new collection for handling form submissions, as well as tracking those the contacts, the users who send those messages. So that the agent assigned to that user can follow up and perhaps turn them into a client for whether they're selling their property or they want to list their property. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we get started, let me do a quick demo of what you're going to end up with by the end of this video. And then we'll rewind all the way back to where we left off in the last video, and then work our way back up again step by step. So here's our new property detail page. And if you remember, we left off with, we added the agent and we had a whole seeder and everything. So all of this stuff is dynamic, coming from the admin, the agent admin. But this form does not work. So it does work now. And I created a little helper here just for development. You can generate fake data. You can do this all day. It's kind of neat. The body of the message includes the address. Please let me know how I can proceed with the inquiry. Basic stuff, but the phone number is generated, randomly generated, as well as the email, always at example.com, just in case. And then when we hit send, the message was sent. Your message has been sent to the agent. So now let's go ahead and log into the admin panel. Here we are. All right, so here's the agents that we created in the last video. But over here, you will see we have two new collections, one called contacts and one called inquiries. So you can see here, these are all the different contacts these are all the different users who have submitted the forms on the property detail page. And when you go in here, you can kind of see who the assigned agent is, their email address, phone number, and then the agent can come in here and fill out some of this stuff if they need to. If they talk to them and they want to know what their preferred contact is, and if they talk to them and they found out like what's their preferences on when they think they're going to buy, what's their budget, preferred areas and neighborhoods, and then preferred property types. And so the agent can come in here and fill those out whenever needed. So it's a really very minimum viable CRM for being able to follow up on some of these leads. And so it's very minimal. By the end of this series, though, this will be spiced up quite a bit, but also we're going to include webhooks into popular CRMs, things like Follow Up Boss, or there's a few other CRMs out there that specifically for real estate, and we'll create webhooks for for all of those. But for now, we have a very minimum viable CRM. If you go into you can see the inquiries here too. Here's one of the messages. It's assigned to a property, and here's the contact. And there you go. So, all right, so that's what we're going to work on today. Okay, so let me rewind all of our code back to where we left off in the last video, and then we'll start building it up. Okay, so I've reverted all of the code back to where we were at from our last video. And now you can see here, we no longer have the inquiries or the contacts. We just have the agents, which we added in the last video. And so let's dive into the code and start carving some of these collections out. And a quick note on some of my programming and my programming practices that I have added to my workflow here. You may notice some changes, some significant changes to the way I'm accessing payload data compared to the way I did it in the last video. And the reason why is because I wanted to be a little bit more efficient as this project is growing a little bit more. It's starting to get a little bit heavy and awkward to try to do things in an old style way, whereas some of the practices and routines that I use on an everyday basis in other projects, in my full-time job, it's kind of hard to not use those sort of practices in this project as we build it out, especially as it gets larger. And so I'm really just talking about the data access layer. And so by default, Payload offers, the local API, and we just access all of our data. We instantiate and grab the Payload client, and then we do whatever we need to do with the local API at the place we need it. And so in this latest version, it is going to be different from the way we worked in the previous video. I've added a data layer to make it a little bit more efficient and optimized during development. And it's a kind of data layer that you might have seen called repository pattern, or more specifically active record. And I'll go into more detail. You'll notice it shortly here when we go through it. But I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to walk through that part in this video because it didn't seem like it was incredibly important to the main goal of this lesson. The data layer side of things is really not that relevant to what we're doing. And if I did try to include that, if I did try to walk through that in these lessons would end up being hours and hours longer because, I've had to, I've spent a lot of time working on this stuff to get it to work. And I don't want to burden you with all of that. However, I will be doing a separate video on this data layer that I created. So when you see this, don't worry about if you don't know how I did it. I will follow up with another video very shortly on my reasoning for it and how I went about it. And then we'll jump back into the real estate project. All right, so I just wanted to get that out of the way so you're not alarmed by all the changes that I've made compared to last video. All right, so let's go in here and start creating some new collections. So I already have a folder here, it's empty. And I'm just going to create a collection called contacts. We're going to create contacts first, and then we're going to create the inquiries. Now it may not be super intuitive as to why I'm creating a contacts collection as well as an inquiries collection. You may think if somebody's submitting a form, then that just all gets collected into some collection somewhere, including all the user information, the phone number and the email address and the name. However, I want to separate contacts out because each contact, each person that is associated with this inquiry is going to be a unique user centered around their email address. And so every time that same person, as long as they have the same email address, every time they make an inquiry on different properties, that person will, the agent will be aware of that single person and all the inquiries they made on the site. So I just want to keep that separated. It's a little more normalized, and now the agent has a lot more information to a specific user based off of email address. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to create the contacts, and then we're also going to create inquiries. All right, so the contact will have the name, the phone number, the message, and obviously email address. And so email address is going to be unique. So let's start doing that. Name type is text. This is going to be required. We're going to have another one for message. This is going to be a text area. That's going to be required. We're going to have another one for phone. That won't be required. And we're going to have another one for email. And that will be of type email. And that will be required. Message, and let's see, be phone. Text. So name, message, phone, email. Let's go back to the browser and just double check. Name, email, phone, and message. Good. All right. So there's that. And so now here's another change that I made from the last video, since the last video. I have an index file here in my collections folder. And what it does is it just imports all of the collections here in one place. And then in my config, what I do is I just grab all of the collections here and then just add them to the config like that. So a little bit easier for me to manage that way. It's just a little cleaner. And so now let's add the contacts. Import that. All right. And so we're done with the contacts. Now we're going to do inquiries. And here we're going to grab inquiries. Slug inquiries fields. All right, the first one I want to do is I want to associate this inquiry with a contact. Let's generate our types. this should get, there we go. So now contacts has been generated. Remove this error. Don't need that. And so we have contacts, and now we're also going to have a relationship to properties. So obviously, if you're on the property detail page and you submit that form, we want to know what property that was to associate it to. And there's so there's property and contact. And I think I messed up. I think I messed up. Oh man, I can't believe I did that. Message does not belong on contacts, obviously. Message belongs on inquiries. Okay, that's better. Email needs to be unique because we're going to be kind of upserting, in a sense, every time they submit an inquiry. We want to use the same contact base keyed off of the email address. Okay, so there's a lot of in the demo, in the pre-demo that when I showed you the new admin panel for managing contacts, there's a whole bunch of other fields. We will add those, but I just want to keep moving forward on the most important fields first, and then we'll fill those out a little bit more and get the UI of the admin all updated as well. There was one, so we have the contact, and what we want to assign an agent to a contact. And so we'll just call that assign to. You can call it agent or whatever you want, but it's going to be relationship to agents, and the label will be assigned agent, and the admin will be positioned in the sidebar. That'll look a little bit better and prominent. And so these, to me, are the most important parts of the contact. And so we're going to add that. Let's go ahead and run. I think this is all we need for inquiry. Let's go into our index and add inquiries. So let's start her up. Let me reseed the database too. Okay. No errors there. Go back to the home page. And there we are. That is all working. Okay. And let's go into the admin panel. All right. Let's take a look at the contacts. You can see here we can assign an agent there, but we're not going to fill it out in the admin panel. We're going to actually update our form on the front end to do that for us. So you can see, let's take a look at the inquiries. You can select a property and select a contact. All right. So let's start doing that. All right, let's go to the form now. We need to install a few things. We're going to use Next Safe Action. And So we're going to use server actions, but we're going to use safe actions to do that. It handles type safety, input and output validation, server errors, and more. So there's all kinds of goodies that you can get out of the box with this library. And I'll show you. We're going to tie it in with React hook form. And so there's a few things we need to install to start getting that to work. We're going to expand this out. And then just start installing some of these things. Hook form resolvers, that's for Zod. Next safe action adapter for the React hook form. Next safe action, React hook form. Oh, and Zod. Okay. We're ready to start building out our forms. And just like everything I do, I like to keep things nice and tidy in folders. So we have our models. I'll go through the models here in a minute. This is my data access layer stuff, and I'll show you that in a minute. Styles, the payload configurations in here, components, blocks, all of that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder called forms, and we're going to call this inquiry form.tsx. Okay. Let's open up the page, the property detail page. And we're going to go into the property inquiry section. This is the form. So you can see here we have our inputs for the name, email, phone, enter your message, and the send button. That's pretty much it. And so now we're going to wire up the form. Let's move this now. Let's just first move this into the inquiry form. Get all this stuff installed. Make sure these got added correctly. All right. Now we can add this. Here, let's rename this to, no, that's good. Inquiry form. All right. So now with our, in my last video, I added a property hook so that when you're on the property detail page, you don't have to do any prop drilling to send the property down to all the little child components. So I have a little context thing here where we can now grab that property, use property, and this has to be a client component because of that. And so now what we can do, I meant to create a folder for this. This would be property inquiry form. And then we can just rename this to form actually. And then this goes right in there. Because we're going to add all of our server actions and Zod schema all for this form inside this folder. You can see how that's nicely organized now. We're going to rename this to property inquiry form. And now that we have that property, let me show you what we can do now. I have this this is the body of the message, and I'll just show you how that looks. Like that. Let's start up our server. Let's save this. There we go. See, there's the message. Easy peasy for that one. But that's not how we're going to actually do the default values. We're going to use React Hook Form. And so let's start adding that in. Okay. Let's grab the agent also. So let's create our form schema using Zod. Okay, we added the object, and now let's start adding all these other things. We want the property ID, we want the agent ID, we want the email address, which is of type email and custom error message, phone number, which is optional. We also want the name, and we want the message. Like that. Minimum 1, max 256. You can change that to whatever you feel necessary. Please include a message. Message must be at most 256 characters long. So that's completely up to you. All right, so there's our schema. Let's go ahead and create our server action using next safe action. And we're going to go over to here. We're going to, inside our lib folder, we're going to create a new file called safe action. And this is going to create our safe action client that we're going to be using for all of our server actions. That's all we need for that. So now over in back into our form folder here, we're going to create an actions action.ts file, and this is going to be use server. We're going to import our client, action client, import our schema. From schema. Okay, so now let's export our action so that the form can now consume it. And this is where the safe action stuff comes in. What is going on there? I think TypeScript is losing its mind, or maybe I am. Yeah, I had to restart the TypeScript server. That was weird. All right, so there's our parsed input. Let's just console log this out for now. And go back to our form and start using some of this stuff. All right. So we're going to do const equals use hook and I'm not sure why VS Code is not detecting the location for this. It's kind of weird. Let me just copy and paste it in here. There we go. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to add some things. We're going to add our property inquiry action. We're going to also add Zod resolver. Schema. Yeah, I don't know why. And from there, we're going to add the form and then handle submit. And that's all we need for now. Let's add a couple more things. Form props mode on change. And we can set default values here. And we want message to be default message, like that. And then action props, we're going to have an on error function. And that takes an error. And we'll just output this here. This is for server-side errors, not client-side validation errors. And we're going to do an on success. And we're just going to do a form dot reset for now, but we also want a toast. I have already added that, installed that through shadcn. And you can see here, Sonner. So this is all I did. I just installed, basically added this, and that was it. And you're ready. I'm ready to go. Now let's add the on submit. Handle submit with action. And let's add the register. We have the name, form.register, pretty typical for React hook form. Email and phone. And we can get rid of this default message now. And there we go. We should be ready to go. All right. Let's add our name. Let's output the errors as just so we can see. I don't think anything happened. Let's just do this console log. All right, let's try that. Open up that. And let's send. There we go. We have errors. Agent ID is required, invalid email address, name, property ID. Yeah, we added default values for some of these, but not all of them. All right, so let's definitely add the agent ID and property ID. And that would be, because we have property, we also have agent. And that would be of type, and we can say as agent. Like that. And then we can say agent ID would be agent.id. And then property ID Okay, let's add some defaults to the other ones so I don't have to keep entering them. And let's just use Faker.js. I already have that installed from my Cedar dot. And we'll do username, internet dot user name. And we're just going to do example.com. I don't want to use their email helper because I like to ensure in development that we always have example.com. And let's see, name. Baker dot. Full name. There we go. And let's see, message, email. Let's go ahead and add phone too. Okay, let's go back to the browser. And it looks like it's all being populated. Message sent. No errors. We didn't get our console log because I think that happens in, yes, it happens on the server side. You can see here. There's the parsed input. We have the property ID, agent ID, email address, phone, name, and the message. Perfect. Now we have everything we need to add this to the inquiry and this guy to the contact. All right, so this is where it's going to get a little bit more interesting, and you're going to notice the changes that I've made since the last video. Over here in our form, we have action. What we need is I need to find out if a contact already exists with that email address. And if it doesn't, we're going to create it. And here's where it gets fun. Model dot. name const parsed name, the message, the phone, email. That's it. So we're gonna find or create the new contact. So we want the name, phone, email. All right, let's just do that. So this is a little bit different, like I said, from the last video, but what I did is I created a kind of what's called an active record style of management. It's basically just functions that wrap all of the payload stuff. So this is just a function that wraps around the find, the payload.find, and then if it doesn't find it, then we go ahead and create it with this data. It tries to find it by email address, and we can just jump into here. I'm not going to go into full detail, but basically I'm creating these things called models, and they have functions on them. It's basically like a repository pattern, a data repository to our actions. So we have the contact. It's either the one that was found or the one that was created. And now we're going to do the inquiry. And just like the contacts, we also have a model for inquiries. Like that. Message. Like so. And then we want contact. Would be contact dot get ID, and likewise we have the property. We need, and so now we can say property ID, and so these are just fields that we added to the inquiry collection, and we're just passing the IDs over to those. So now that we have the inquiry, let's go ahead and just return those. There's not much we're going to be doing with them, but it's you'll see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do a try catch here. I'm going to put all of this in a try catch. And then we're going to throw an error otherwise. By throwing an error, what we're going to do is it's going to trigger this on error. And so you can do anything you want in this callback. And so yeah, throwing that error will trigger that one. But otherwise, if it's not an error and you just return anything, you can return anything here, anything you want. That'll be considered a success. So this is going to be triggered, and we'll be able to say message sent. All right, so let's try it out. I think that's all we need for now. And we're still running. Let's go back into our inquiries here, make sure we don't currently have any. Yep, we're empty here. And so if I hit submit here, message sent only. Okay, we'll deal with that in a minute. But if you go into the inquiries, there is our contact and inquiry. Go in there, and there's the message, and there's the user. We'll fix the title here in a second. But if you go into contacts, you can see here's the contact. And so let's add another message with this same email address. And we'll just reload. It doesn't, the name doesn't matter, so we're not even going to update the name. You may choose to do that, but we'll do that later. All right, let's try it again. All right, send that. Go back into here. Go into contacts. You can see there's still one contact because it was found. It was already found. And so if you go back to inquiries, you can see we have two, and the contact is the same. Now let's quickly update the title here so we're not. So it looks a little better. Go into collections, contacts here, and we're going to do admin, use as title, and that would be name. Yeah, we'll do name for now. And that should be it. We could use email too, but, and there it is. Contacts. Let's load up. Let's do another one. And there it is. All right. So let's quickly figure out what's going on here. This has to do with the model stuff, the data models that I'm using. You're not able to send those to client components. So what I'm going to do is rather than do that, what I'm going to do is go into here. And I think this is the reason these are objects. And so we don't actually want to pass those along. And so we'll just do a return message. Let's try that one more time. But that'll make more sense when we talk about the data model stuff in the next video. All right, brand new user, send, message sent, and error is gone. Go back into here. There's our new user. All right, so that's going to be it for now. There were other things I wanted to do in the contact form here. In the demo, when I gave you the demo at the beginning of this video, there was a whole bunch more stuff here. I have it's all in my repo in the main branch. I'll have a link to that in the description, but I'm running out of time. You can see it's just, it's going to be boilerplate at this point. So it's nothing new. There's nothing new that you can really kind of learn from there, different from previous videos. So that'll be available in the repo. And of course, all the new data stuff, everything that you're seeing here today, plus more, will probably be in the repo. My strategy is that I'm going to keep moving forward on this project with or without recording it on video, but I'm being careful to create branches and tags to make sure that I can go back to certain points, waypoints, so that we can start videos at the right spot. Without too much without too many changes from previous videos. And so if you go to the main branch on that repo, you'll see that it's quite a lot more updated than what you're seeing here today. But there are some other branches in there, if you can, and tags perhaps, where you can kind of get a sense of some of the phases. It's not perfect, but I'm learning how to keep that repository a little bit better organized so that you can kind of walk through all the different phases. So it'll get better over time. So that's going to be it for now. Again, in the next video, I'm going to do a little bit of a bonus video off the beaten path a little bit and talk about the repository pattern as well as the active record style data layer. So, all right, that's going to be it for today. We'll see you in the next one.